In this lesson, I want to focus on three major ways to increase the attack surface, to get a good understanding of the infrastructure, and to also find vulnerabilities or valid bugs for a company with a responsible disclosure policy. And these three ways are storage buckets, Shodan search engine queries, and Github Recon. Okay, now let's start with bucket hunting. One of the first tools that I use for this purpose is Slurp. As always, there's a link in the resources document that comes with this lesson where you will find Slurp's repo and the documentation. Since this is not a beginner level course, I already assume that you've installed these tools, all of them. Okay, so the very basic usage of Slurp is slurp domain -t. And then let's just look into one of my websites. It says starting to process permutations, and this might actually take a while because it has a lot of permutations in the file, so we'll just leave it here. I'm going to open up another terminal and become root, and another way to actually use Slurp is to give it keywords instead of domain names. So that would be slurp keyword -t, let's say Google Docs, and that's it. Hit enter and it's going to do the same thing, starting to process permutations, but I'm actually gonna quit that one. Of course, you can always check slurp --help, so in this case slurp -help. So I can actually call it like this because we are in a folder with slurp and we have the executable here, the binary, and I can also call it like this. And in this case, I can call it like this because I've added it to my environment variables. Alright, so like I said, you can always check slurp or slurp -help to get the documentation. So as you can see, we have the keyword, the domain, and the -help. And of course, there's also a feature called search stream, which allows you to actually find buckets in real time. So I can simply do slurp search stream, and this is actually going to find buckets in real time that have the permutations mentioned in the permutations.json file. Let's actually look at that file. See if we can read it without being hosts, without being actually root. We should. Yeah, so this is actually how the file looks like. If we look at the word count, it's like 28,000 permutations, and I'm only displaying the final 1,000 as per my terminal's configuration. I think it only shows the last 1,000 lines. If I look into preferences, behavior, history size in lines, 10,000. If I do unlimited history, I think it's gonna show them all. Yeah, so it did show all of them. Let me just clear this, repeat the command, go back. Yeah, so it shows them all. Anyways, I don't want to do that. I'll just, I'm good to go with the first 1,000. Alright. I have other tools that I want you to check out when it comes to bucket hunting. And of course, I will be linking all of them in the resources document. So the first one is bucket flaws. Definitely check it out. Of course, always read the documentation, the potential. Not all of them have a lengthy documentation, but when you find documentation, make sure to read it. And this is actually a quite recent one. It seems to be maintained. There's also S3 scanner, of course. You might also want to be looking into AWS bucket dump. And of course, you can simply just Google bucket dump tool GitHub, and you'll find probably many others. But in this case, I'm just suggesting 3 of them. So AWS bucket hunt, S3 scanner, and bucket flaws. Okay, the next thing that I want to tell you about is the Shodan search engine, or as they call themselves, the search engine for internet connected devices. So Shodan.io. There's some issue with search stream, but anyway, I guess you get the main point. This will actually show you buckets in real time. In this case, it didn't find anything. Let's run it with this, and just, or let's stop this one and just run this one. Maybe if we have 2 instances of Slurp, they might have some sort of a conflict with each other. Anyway, Slurp really works to its desired functionality, and there have been quite a lot of times when it actually found good stuff open buckets for me. Of course, in this case, since we're looking for open buckets, there is no actual open bucket for my domain. Okay, back to Shodan. So there is a lot of stuff you can do with Shodan, and to be honest, I'm also only beginning to scratch the surface when it comes to knowing what Shodan can potentially do. It was actually November 2019, so last year, when someone tweeted about a lifetime Shodan membership for $1, $1 freaking dollar, and I immediately purchased it, but I never actually got it to explore Shodan as I wanted to. So if you have the Shodan membership, you probably have access to the Shodan book for free. Otherwise, you can go ahead at LeanPub. So you can go to LeanPub/Shodan and get actually the book for $5 or a higher amount. Then I would also encourage you to read Daniel Missler's free extensive tutorial on Shodan. And of course, so there's a lot of good stuff in here, basic usage filters and stuff like that. And then of course, look into this Shodan Dorks GitHub page, which is also really interesting, and I think it's maintained quite frequently, so definitely check this out or put it on your monitor list. Okay, you will learn a lot from these 2 materials alone, and naturally you should be able to come up with your own search queries when it comes to Shodan as you use it more frequently. Now here's a little secret. One of the less known strategies that I use and that I recently learned about is searching by Favicon. You can find a lot of a company's hidden assets and assets even the company often forgot about by searching by Favicon. So here's how it goes. First, you would go to a company's website. In this case, it would be a company with a responsible disclosure program. Okay, and I'm not actually going to demonstrate this live, but make sure to take notes. So number 1, you go to a company's website, so of course a company that has a responsible disclosure program. Number 2, you look into the source code. So you look into the source code and copy the link to the Favicon file. Okay, And then number 3, you use a Python script to get the hash of the favicon. So this Python script is actually located over here, and I'm going to link it in the description of this video. So you use, if you're on Python 3, you're using this script. If you're using Python 2, if you have Python 2 installed, you can use this script. Okay, so number 4, the script is going to give you a hash like this one from Tesla, so I'm going to actually copy it. So -21028705554. alright, so your hash is going to look something like this. Then on number 5, you go to Shodan and actually do the following search query. So your query should be http://favicon.hash -210. Let me just actually copy this and then paste it there. And this is what you're gonna search for. I think that if we just search for this, nobody's gonna get offended because we're not accessing. But I don't think we can actually look for this on Shodan because I'm not logged into my account. Let's see. Please log in to use search filters. Okay, so in Shodan you will be using something like this once you're logged into your account. You can also log in or register for free, and I think that you have limited usage of Shodan. And in this case, I think if you search for this hash or for this string, it's going to only show you the first 1 or 2 pages of results with the free account. Okay, so keep that in mind. And that's it. This is actually a very powerful technique that not many security researchers know of. Okay, now the final tool that we touch upon in today's lesson is actually Github. Now when it comes to Github reconnaissance, you can do it in 2 ways, of course. So you can do it manually and automated. And we're going to start with the manual approach. So let's go to github.com. Now on github.com, the search bar is where all the magic happens. Let me see if I can actually search without being logged in. If not, I'm just actually going to log in. So if we search for Google and make sure we search on all GitHub, we get everything that has Google in it, be it repositories, code. This is probably a very large number of code which we cannot access. So let me try actually do this from my Windows machine. As you can see, we have 238 million plus results when it comes to code. And the results are categorized by repos, code, commits, issues, etc. Now all the fun starts when we add keywords such as, for example, API_key, and we look into code, 1 million plus results, and then we often find API keys or credentials in this code. Of course, it's really useful if you do a recently indexed, which is going to show last indexed 11 days ago. So Google API key. We'll look into code. We have 2 million plus results. And we get to see stuff like this. Now, similarly, you can search for the name of the organization you're conducting security research on and other magic keywords such as, for example, CSRF, secret, or for example token, or for example password, or for example env, and more. I'm going to link all of them, all that I mentioned here. I'm going to link them in the resources document of this video. I've also posted this list of extensive dorks or keywords in the resources document of this video, and make sure to check it out because it includes more than 150 keywords that can lead more often than not to sensitive data leaks. Alright, so even though I prefer the manual approach for GitHub Recon as I've shown you, this can also be approached, so GitHub Recon can also be approached using tools. And some of the tools that I want to mention or that are notable to mention in my case are TruffleHog, GitRub, and Gitty Leaks. So TruffleHog with all its documentation, I would highly encourage you to check it out. GitRub, which is really good. Very simple to use. It's written in Go, I guess, and it's very fast, of course, as everything written in Go. So the simple installation, go get GitHub, make sure to check it out. And the final one is Gitty Leaks. Also check this one out, even though it doesn't seem to be so actively maintained. Like I said, I've posted links to their repos and official guides in the resources document. The one that I've used most in this case is TruffleHog because it can get you real-time results. But as I said previously, I prefer manual recon when it comes to github.com. Now, since we are all about magic keywords and search terms here, I will give you a list of my go-to tools for further in-depth reconnaissance. Okay, so one of them is, let's see, one of them is Recon T, which is an all-in-one recon tool made in Python. So very simple installation and usage, definitely check it out. Another one is webent.io. So this is actually a website. You can just this actually scans website to get some security insights from these from the websites or from the targets that you're assessing. A similar one is cyberscan.io. Let's actually accept only necessary cookies, and then you can do a free scan. Another one, of course, is pastebin.com, which is a place to actually paste stuff, and you will be amazed to find passwords on other sensitive information in here. And there have been quite a few tools that have been written in Python and in Bash for the very same purpose, so make sure to look that up on Google, such as, for example, pastebin reconnaissance tool or pastebin Python. Another tool that I want to talk about is Wolfram Alpha. Wolfram Alpha is more than a search engine, so I bet you didn't know that it has cyber skills as well. So if you look, for example, for twitter.com, you can actually get subdomains from twitter.com. And I believe there's also probably an API that you can code or you can call to get this list of subdomains. So make sure to check Wolfram Alpha as well. Alright, the last thing that I want to talk about today is Google Dorking. So Google Dorking actually deserves an entire course for itself, because this is a combination of art and science, and I myself have found a lot of juicy information on Google itself. I mean, it's the master indexer of the surface level web. So some of my most used dorks on Google actually involve a combination of file types, for example file type and in title, and I often use in text as well. File type can also interchangeably be used with extension, so for example extension SQL in-text.clave, and this is actually a dork that I submitted to Google Hacking Database as well, which is what I want to tell you about. So the only resource that I need to give you to become a master of Google Dorking is Google Hacking Database, maintained by the folks at Offensive Security. I've given you a lot of information in this lesson. I've given you specific tactics and also a lot of tools that you can start using as you become a successful security researcher. The key message that I want to drive home is that you take what you learn included in your written methodology and keep adding your own insights, tactics, and new strategies so that your methodology is private, custom-made, unique, and leads to a lot of valid submissions.